So anyhow, yep, Merry Christmas. If you want to call it Merry, have a happy Christmas. Yep, I figured I'd come up here even if there ain't anybody here. There's somebody that shows up or whatever happens. And we give a Christmas hello to the TFLers, the incels, and the men going their own way. Okay, now when I say men going their own way here online, the majority of you are fraudulent. Okay, so it'd be the TFLers in denial for the most of you. Yes, there are some MGTOWers that will actually see the corruption that's going on in society that have actually chose to walk away from women. But the numbers ain't very many. The majority of these men ain't really walked away from women at all. They're just putting on their fake act, their fake persona. That's all. But as far as that goes, I think today's the day that a lot of true TFLers and incel guys, and for any man that's really going their own way, you're pretty much alone today, unless you got family members that are still alive. Then maybe you're hanging out with your family today, and that's cool. You'd be happy to see you hanging with your family today. Get you out of the house, give you something to do, somebody to be around. Okay, but yeah, today's Christmas Day, and for TFLers, a lot of you are alone right now. Your Christmas is by yourself. Did you buy yourself the gift? Did you give yourself some love? Because that's really where it comes from. You know, caring. If you got family members and you care about your family members, you go out and got your present. You got a present, or you just maybe got a cake, or just showing up to presents and saying I love you and giving your family members a hug. That's really what's important. It's not about the monetary system. It's about care. It's about showing the people around you that you love them, that you actually care about them. That's what's really most important about this day to me. I could care less what religion's saying. I really do, because religion is nothing but a scam to begin with. It's fraudulent, it's fake, and I don't care what people tell me. I'm not saying we don't have a creator, by no means. I'm not saying there isn't life after death, by no means. I'm just telling you the BS that's been fed to us is exactly what it is. But for TFLers, I hope that you can have a better year in 2019 than you've had in 2018. I would like to see less people dumping on one another. The sad thing with the manosphere, is if you want to call it the manosphere, is the fact that men are so divided. So divided. We have the quote unquote normies who will use shaming tactics and everything mainstream media has done through programming to shame their own gender and slam their own gender. And I'd like to see that go away. Wouldn't that be a great new year for 2019 if that could just disappear? And incels and MGTOWs and TFLers. You know, we're all living this boat together. We're all in this boat together, this gigantic boat. A world full of sickness and evil, where human suffrage and watching other people suffer becomes a game to you. And today, we should try to turn that around, shouldn't we? Shouldn't we try to have a little bit of care back in our society? Wouldn't be 2019 be better if we wasn't fighting one another? If we climbed on board with one another and stood by one another a little bit better, recognized the problems that's going on and found ways to make yourselves happy? Because, you know, having a companion in your life isn't what's going to make you happy. You first have to be happy for yourself. Because in today's society, the corruption is so deep, and sex has replaced love, and drama has replaced love, and there's people that are together that are miserable. They're fighting one another on a regular basis. And so don't you think that should all come to an end? Don't you think, as for the men, why is it that we have to keep throwing each other under the bus? We don't. When it becomes a game to you, who can be the better victim, the bigger victim, you already have an issue. Because nobody should have to be a victim. Victim isn't something to be proud of. Because you're a bigger victim than somebody else isn't no kind of one-upping somebody else or an arena or a sport or a game, okay? It's none of the above. And when you have that mentality, you actually got mental issues yourself. And I hate to say that, but you do. You know, because men shouldn't be fighting one another. Straight across the board, if you stop denying what's in your face, it is in your face. What's been going on in our society. So don't you think that we should have a place in every community around the world where men can get together and meet like-minded guys that are going through the same thing? And maybe we could find things to do together. We could go bowling, or we could go shoot pool, or we could just go get a drink, or what have you. Go hang out together and play video games, or whatever. Find yourself something to do with somebody in common with yourself, because I think that's going to be the biggest key to people being happy. Because having a companionship with your opposite gender in today's society isn't favorable for men whatsoever. It has a double standard, which is corruption. Everything's focused to one gender over the top of the other. And you cannot buy happiness. You're not going to get happiness through having a female in your life unless that female understands that friendship is a must, because you have to become friends before you can go any further in a relationship. Okay? It's no different than when two guys hang out together, they have things in common, they crack jokes, they can go out and do things together and enjoy themselves. It's no different than if two girls are out here that have things in common and they go out and they do things for themselves and entertain themselves. It's no different. We're all human beings. Relationships are just what they are, relationships. So whether you're a guy and a guy that's friends, or a girl and a girl that's just friends, leave sex completely out of this, because sex has no business being in it. Okay? It's just one of them things that, your happiness isn't going to come through sex. Your happiness isn't going to come through drama. And your happiness will not come through trying to one up somebody else or putting on a phony persona. Your happiness will come by being yourself and not caring what other people think of you. That's actually a virtue that people need to grow tough skin and be able to do this. So for TFLers and incel guys and MGTOW guys, okay, and men's rights activists, whichever category you fall in, the only problem that I've seen from day one is you all want to fight each other. You want to play the bigger victim role. You want to throw each other underneath the bus. And I'm not going to say MGTOW was a bad idea, because MGTOW was a great idea if people used it for the concept that it was meant for men. Okay, it was a great idea. Now, yes, they say it steers division, you're walking away from the woman. But you got to look at the reality here. Even with this being Christmas Day, that's not going to change how your next year is going to be in 2019 unless you can change your mindset. If you're stuck in this dilemma where you're fighting the incels, or the incels are fighting you and you're a TFLer, or you're fighting a MGTOW guy and you're arguing back and forth and you're getting mad at each other, you haven't done any justice for anybody, including yourself. You really haven't. You've gone nowhere. So shouldn't 2019's coming up here in a week or so from now, so shouldn't we Think about how we could improve ourselves next year for 2019. How we could have a better year. And you know what? It'd be great is if men could get over their issues and start talking common sense with each other and not slamming each other, not trying to one up one another, not trying to be a bigger victim, not trying to win some damn game that it's not. Because there is no such thing as a game when it comes to another human being's emotions and feelings. How about practicing what you do every year for this day to day, Christmas, and have a little care? But how about practicing keeping that care that you have for the people around you today and keep that care and practice that every day all the way through 2019? Wouldn't that be awesome? Could you see what that would do for us? That would help bring us men together to where we could talk to each other. And thank you for the Merry Christmas there. I hope you're having one yourself. I figured I should do a Christmas live stream for the fact that for TFLers and for incels and men going their true men going their own way, a lot of you really have nobody in your life right now. And if you're an older person like I am, you may be sitting there with your family members. Most of them are already married, gone, whatever, passed away, and you ain't got no immediate family in your life anymore. And so maybe you're sitting there by yourself today because of this. Don't let that get you down. Try to think of the positive things you can do for yourself. Don't be thinking about your opposite gender because your opposite gender cannot make you happy. A relationship or companionship with the opposite gender will not fulfill your life and bring you happiness, especially in today's time when neither gender know how to treat one another. This is my message for today, is to let you know in no uncertain terms your happiness can only come from within yourself, from yourself. You cannot focus in on, I've got to have a woman in my life, because that's not going to make you happy. That's going to make you miserable. You know, if you get rejected again, you're just going to continue to go down that same road. So let's get off that road. Let's get off that road and let's stop think about things that's reality. Reality is, if you want to be happy in your life, you have to do that for yourself. You got to have tough skin and not care what other people think about you. You got to be able to be yourself. First and foremost, always be yourself. It doesn't matter what male friends you're hanging with, what female friends you may have or may not have, what your mom or dad or your brother or your sister, whoever tells you, you cannot let them affect your thinking. You have to be yourself. See, we have to accept each other for who each other is, not who we want somebody else to be. When's the last time you had your friends that you grew up with, or maybe right now, for all the TFLers or incels or maybe going their own way, in the men's atmosphere here, how many of you have another friend that's a male, that's just a friend? We're not talking any kind of gayness or anything like that. Just a friend who became your best friend. Do you suppose they became your best friend because we were trying to one up one another? Do you suppose they became your best friend because we were putting on a fake persona? No. And when you went out and hung with your best friend and you went out and you did things together and you had fun and you laughed and you cracked jokes and you went on with your day, that day felt good to you. At the end of the day, you had a good day. You wasn't under stress. You wasn't under pressure. And overall, you didn't care what other people thought about you. Isn't that correct? And that's the mindset people need to have to begin with, is not care what other people think about you. to not let somebody else change you to their want. That you be yourself. And if they're truly your friend, they will accept you for yourself and they will become your friend because that's real life right there in your face. That is real life. And this is why, even when it comes to men and women, the majority of all relationships fail. Because they don't understand that for companionship, men and women have to be friends. They have to go on dates, and that date is about getting to know one another to see if you can become friends. And if you don't have things in common and can't become friends, you move on, and when you have another date, this is what it's supposed to be. Supposed to be for all of us, okay? So that's why I said, having a female in your life will not bring you happiness. Your happiness comes from yourself. It really does. Nobody else can make you happy. You have to first be able to make your own self happy. And then once you can do that, you have to recognize when the truth is, it doesn't matter if it's the opposite gender. You have to first be able to become friends. Because if you cannot become friends, you could never have a meaningful relationship with each other. You will never find real love that does exist. But real love in today's society is like finding a dinosaur egg. And that's because the majority of people do not know what they're doing. So for 2019, wouldn't it be great if you could figure out this and you could just focus in on taking the stress off your shoulders, that rock off your shoulders, and making yourself happy? Yes, that's correct. What matters most when it comes to friendships is enjoying the same things. That's right. And even though you don't have some things in common, learning how to accept this is, you know, the way life is. You're not always going to agree with a person, even though they're your best friend. So this is where you have to learn how to agree to disagree. That's right. You don't make an issue out of it. When you have a difference, you have an opinion, they have their opinion, and your opinions don't match. You learn how to agree to disagree and you move away from that topic onto something else. When you go out and you do things with a friend, you have things in common that you both like to do that you share in doing together. And this is where your entertainment's going to come from. This is going to help you remove stress from your shoulders. It's going to take stress out of your life and it's going to help you. That's just really where this comes from. So, and in reality, this is what everybody seems to fail at, is understanding that when you grew up and you was a kid growing up and you had your friends that you hung out with, and the ones that became your best friends, they became your best friends because you both had a lot of things in common. And you was able to go out and do things together and you enjoyed each other's company. That is where this comes from. And it's no different for a man or a woman. Society likes to make it all complicated and twisted and manipulated and all messed up, you know. And so everybody wants to go along with what your television set told you or some book somebody wrote. And you go along with this behavior and it actually destroys you and destroys her and you're destroying each other. And in the men's atmosphere, we have all this division. We got incel fighting TFL. We have Men's Rights Act fighting TFL. TFL fighting them. Come on. Men going their own way, fighting against MRA or fighting against incel or fighting against TFL. And we're all sitting there bickering back and forth, and it's turned into this sport, this arena, this game of who can be a bigger victim. And that is a mentality that needs to go away. So for 2019, I would like to see people try to understand that we're all going through the same issues in society. We may not have exactly the same across the board. We may be in a community where you live may be a little different than where somebody else lives, but overall, we're all experiencing the same things. Because men going their own way, for the true men going their own way, they're walking away from women because of the corruption and how we're treating one another, how women are treating you, and how the justice system is. You got nothing. There's nothing in a marriage for a man. Everything is for the woman. Society has done this, and this is why we had, when you walked away from the opposite gender, you actually did the right thing by doing so. Because what has to happen is we got to stop playing favoritism. So for 2019, I would like us to stop playing favoritism to one gender. I don't care what gender it is. You don't play favors to one gender over another. Don't pamper the female child and throw the boy under the bus. Don't spoil the boy and throw the female under the bus. How about equal treatment for our children? That would be a good start for 2019, wouldn't it? If we could have equal treatment for children so that the boy's not being thrown under the bus while we play favors to the girl. Are the girls not being thrown under the bus while we're playing favors to the boy? Now, I do understand the majority of our society is favoring the girl over the boy. That is no lie. That is factual. But it's not that we don't have incidences where they're favoring the boy over the girl. We do have this. It's not as common. It's not as big of an issue. But it causes the same problems. If you take the rich kids and they grow up in an environment where their family's got filthy a lot of money, they get anything they want. It's same thing as placing one gender over another. It has the same results. It causes corruption because they become self-entitled. They have self-entitlement issues when they grow up. They believe that this is not a gender issue. When you look at rich people and their children, and these rich people give their children every single thing they want and pamper them through life, these kids grow up with self-entitlement issues and believe they're owed what they're not owed. And we're out here working our tails off to get what we got. And these kids believe it's just owed to them on a silver platter because of their upbringing, so they grow up to be psychopaths and narcissists. And when we take the female gender in our society, we put them over the top of the boy, which I've seen in my own face. I've literally witnessed this in my own face over and over and over throughout my life. We do the same thing to that female child as the rich people done to their kids. This girl's going to grow up with self-entitlement issues, believing she's owed everything, and she's going to wind up being a narcissist or a psychopath. It would be no different for the boy. If you throw the girl under the bus and you pamper and spoil the boy, he is going to grow up with self-entitlement issues, okay? Narcissists, psychopaths. Why do you think the epidemic is so big? It's because we have actually created this ourselves. It's sort of like creating Frankenstein. Well, don't we need to stop creating Frankensteins, don't you think? Don't you think we could have a better world if we just practice not putting somebody over somebody from a young age? We could stop a lot of this immediately. And for TFLers that are out there living, or incels that are out here right now, that you're alone. Today's Christmas Day, and maybe you're older and you ain't got no family left. Maybe your family and you've been having drama and you don't get along with them. You're not with them right now because of all the corruption and drama. And you're sitting there alone today. Okay? then you need to really start thinking positively, what can I do to make myself happy? How can I make myself happy? What can I do? And if you got a best friend that you know, I don't care. Go hang out with that best friend. Go do something for yourself. Because you got to lift that chip off your shoulder to remove the stress from yourself before you can make yourself happy. When you can lift the chip off your shoulder and you can put yourself in a situation where you have a whole lot less stress, you're going to be a lot happier. And this applies to everybody. There's no need for drama. If you're in a household where people like to do nothing but scream and yell at each other, get out of there. Leave. Go away from it. Don't anticipate. Don't join in. Because the only thing you're doing is tearing your own self down. Because people need to realize, there is no need for drama. Drama destroys friendships, destroys lives, destroys relationships. Straight across the board, drama leads to domestic violence. Drama leads to going to jail. Drama leads you to everything that you don't want to be caught in the middle of. And that's really where this comes from. So, for the men, we really need to, for 2019, look for ways to get along. And we already have a big sickness in society to begin with. You get up here on YouTube and you see all these fraudulent people. You got people that'll come up here and they will talk about this topic and that topic and this topic and that topic, like maybe they're talking about NWO, they're truther. Maybe there's very few, and I mean, this just don't. Myself, I came up for years, and I talked about our political arena and New World Order and dating scene, and they were all talked about over and over and over and over and over because they're all linked together. And in the truther community, you don't find too many people that are willing to do that. I was literally the only person on YouTube or on the net that talked about NWO, political, and dating all in one spot. I was literally the only person that done this across the entire internet for a whole bunch of years. And then I don't know, then recently here a couple, 3 years ago, we had a person come on scene who mimicked me and was doing the very same thing themselves. And then that person took down all their videos, put them on private, took them away from the public's eyes. And then they started making new videos, painting themselves out to be somebody else and going against everything they preached. This is somebody that either has mental issues themselves or they're military intelligence. They're one or the other. I don't have no trust or no respect for somebody like this. When people do this type of behavior in your face, you have to ask yourself the simple question. If you came up online and you seem to be 100% real and honest and a caring person, and you talked about TFL, men's right activists, MGTOW, dating scene topics, and you talked about the political end and NWO and how corrupt our society is, social engineering, and you did what I've done for so long, and then one day after 2 or 3 years of talking about all this stuff, you would just disappear all your videos from the public eye, and then you come back talking about mainstream media narratives and attacking the very things that you talked about. You either are mental or your military intelligence using something that you're going to call mental to push more laws on us, the people. okay, which within itself is sick, okay? But you're one or the other because that's not normal. It's not normal at all. It's complete insanity, and the only people I can think of that would do this would be people that were off the rocker to begin with, or military intelligence, using this to set people up. That's right, to set people up. You think about the red flag law that's being pushed into the states right now across the U.S., that they're using to take guns away from people using mental health. Now you think about what I just talked about. If a person comes up online and does this, then what they do is they paint out this atmosphere of people to be mental. Why do they do? How do they do that? Well, if they talk about NWO, political topics, and talk about dating scene topics, and they do this on a regular basis, and they come across as honest and real and awake, and then after 2 or 3 years of doing this on a regular basis, they just hide everything from your eyes and come back pushing what Fox News tells you, what NBC tells you, what ABC tells you, mainstream BS, and going against everything they preached. Okay? That's not an accident. Okay? That would be one way you could push for mental health bills, laws to be pushed on the people. So we have to be aware of this and be careful of this and observe people who do this and don't call their name, don't give them no attention, but keep your eyes close to what's going on with the laws and bills and mental health laws that are being pushed. Just like with Elliot Rodgers, most people don't understand the guy never existed. The guy was an actor. What came up online, up on YouTube, Elliot Rodgers was fraudulent. It was a psyop. It was deliberately done. You say, why would they do that? Because you have to build a problem and build a problem and build a problem in society so that you can justify pushing a law that takes more away from the people. Do you understand what I just said? You take a problem, you create a problem, you build a problem, and you build on that problem, and you build on that problem, and then you can use that problem you build on to push new laws to furtherly lock down, take rights away, just like with the red flag law. We used psyops, FEMA exercise drills, we used lies, and we created a problem with people shooting people that wasn't really happening. And we kept doing this over and over and over. Now we have the red flag law being put into all these different states and using it for mental health to take your gun away from you and tell you that you're not allowed to have a gun. See how this works? So you need to understand why they do these things and why you have to be suspicious of somebody that would come online and do what I've done for years. Because for years I was the only one that done it, and I had people all the time asking why I was talking about political NWO on a dating scene channel. Because I did both. And I literally was the only one that did it for all these years. Okay? So you really got to question these things in the call when somebody disappears their work and comes back preaching the opposite. That has to be called into question because it could be they're just a nut job. It could also be they're not a nut job at all, that they're military intelligence. And because we don't know these people, because anybody can be anybody on the internet. They can come up and use a fraudulent name. They can use a fraudulent picture. You can create a character for yourself that you're not even. The internet is the most deceitful spot. And it would be real easy to put military intelligence up here to do something like this. And think about Elliot Rogers. That there within itself, the guys whose father was in Hollywood. Okay? So this kid grew up in money, in Hollywood. Yes, he's an actor. Yes, that was an act. Yes, Elliot Rogers never really existed. And then you say, why would they do that? Why? It makes no sense. No, it does make sense. It does make sense because you have to cause problems. You make a problem even if it didn't happen and you make it public. Just like the van over in there in Canada that ran into the crowd of people at the mall, killing never happened. It was fraudulent. And then we said it was an incel guy, didn't we? Yes, we did. We said the guy who done this was incel. Elliot Rogers was TFLer, and this guy was incel. Do you see the link? You see how they go together? Now think about this. We can build on this problem by every now and again we come up and we do another one, and we do another one, and we do another one, and we do another one. And then we can come up and say, we need to have a mental health bill, and we need to make a law. Do you follow where we're going here? This is what we got to watch out for, because you use fraudulent means to pass laws to take rights away from people who are unaware of what's really going on around them. And this is what I literally see going on. And this is the reason I don't trust. This is the reason I have my eyes close on a certain person. I'm not even bringing their name up because I'm not going to feed their ego. Okay? But my eyes are on that person, but I'm not watching what they're doing. My eyes are on them through watching laws and mental health bills that are being passed. So if they are military intelligence and they're going to do something, my eyes are on if we have another van running into a bunch of women, or we have another TFL or an incel guy that loses their mind and goes out and kills a bunch of. This is what I'm watching for. And I'm watching mental health laws. Do you follow where I'm going? Or we have another school shooting where it was a guy that was living TFL or incel. Do you follow where I'm going here? My eyes are open for this stuff because this is stuff that we have to have our eyes on. We really do. Because we already have two phony things that's happened that's been pushed to be real that wasn't real. And people who were asleep and don't understand what's going on that believed it really happened. That actually believed that Elliot Rogers really happened and existed and is dead. When Elliot Rogers didn't really happen and he's not dead. That wasn't even his name. That was a stage name. And he was an actor. When the van run me over in Canada happened, but didn't happen, and it was an incel guy. They were fraudulent, just like our school shootings. So it's important to watch this stuff. But for 2019, I guess my thing is this. I want to see men, not saying I can make it happen because I'm only me, but I want to see the manosphere, men, be able to stop throwing each other under the bus. Because I don't care if you're MGTOW, I don't care if you're incel, men's rights activist, or TFLer. It doesn't matter one little iota to me. We are all experiencing the same types of problems, or we would not be here. We should not be throwing each other underneath the bus. We should not be playing a game to play the bigger victim status. Because the bigger victim status is a mental issue. Because nobody should want to be a victim to begin with. Do you understand that? Nobody should want to be a victim to begin with. To want to be a victim suggests you have mental issues. Because nobody truly wants to be a victim. I mean, to want to be a victim. So what, you want me to take a gun and shoot you where, in the leg? Or you want me to drop a 5,000-pound weight from 10 stories on your foot? Or you want to step on a nail after jumping off the balcony that going all the way through your foot and have a board nailed to your foot? See, that's a victim. Do you understand that? That's a victim. And I don't know anybody that really wants to be a victim. Outside of a mind game that you're playing, which is not reality, which is a sickness, okay? No different than if you're up here listening to the stuff that I say and it's all a game to you, it's all entertainment, then that is a mind issue, a mental issue. Because truth and reality should not be entertainment. The stuff that I talk about needs to be taken seriously. And if it becomes entertainment to you, then you're not taking it seriously. And if you're not taking it seriously, you can't honestly complain about what's going on because you're part of the reason it's going on. Do you follow where I'm coming from? You become part of the reason it's going on. Why do you want to be part of the problem? See, so it can't be entertainment to you without being part of the problem. I care. And this is why I see today being the day it is. Even with religion saying how evil it is and how off it is and how wrong it is, I don't call caring for your other loved ones in your life evil. I don't call giving a child a present for today evil. I call this people practicing caring for one another. And your religious community wants to tell you how it's an evil day. Because they don't want people caring for one another, is why. That is the real reason why you see people online cutting down Christmas. It's to brainwash, to change the mindset because they hate good. They hate good. They hate care. They don't want you having care. They don't want you having good. Christmas, leave the religion completely out of it and let's think about it, what it really does. People actually show some care for each other. May not be much, but it's better than what we have in society right now. So once a year, you get together for this day and you care about each other. Then you have Independence Day. Once a year, you come together on Independence Day and you celebrate something you're losing, your freedom. You're going to say, no, I'm not losing my freedom. Yes, you are. It's slowly being taken away from you right under your nose. That is what that red flag law is about. You're losing more and more freedom and rights in the United States and across the world every single year under your nose to a pack of psychopaths who don't want but anything and everything for themselves, who don't want you here, that considers you worthless. And so it doesn't matter if you're TFL, incel, Minguanoy, and men's right activist, and you're not a truther and you don't believe in the truth that's being spilled on NWO, and you say it's all a conspiracy theory. You better think about how you got where you're at. You're not incel by accident. You're not a TFLer by accident. You're not a men's rights activist by accident. And you're not pushing PUA because there's not a market for it. If you couldn't make money off it, you wouldn't be doing it. And to make money off of it means there's a legit problem or it wouldn't be marketable. You wouldn't be able to sell it. And these problems did not accidentally get here. So it's never been a conspiracy theorist, just like double standards and taboo are corruption. Now, I've done a few interviews with Steve Hoka, or podcast, whatever you want to call, where Steve and I get together and we talk. And I'm sure Steve and I'll do some more when the time is right. I'm not going to shoot down Steve Hoka. I like the man. Steve Hoka's at least one thing I can say for him overall, he's honest. He gets under a lot of stress sometimes, but who don't, right? Do you know anybody that don't go under stress? I don't know many people that don't qualify for that without lying. Okay, so, but Steve Hoka's honest. And when Steve Hoka come up here and he spoke out, he did it from honesty. Okay? And even if he asked for a donation for some of his time, it's his prerogative to ask for that. It would be wrong of me to tell him he can't. And it's your prerogative to say, yeah, I'm giving you a donation, or no, I'm not giving you nothing. Okay, so therefore I don't see an issue with it. Because on an individual basis, it has to be individually decided. As far as people who hate Steve Hoka, you have a right to hate him. But you know what makes you insane when you've never met the guy in your life? That's right. You don't know the first thing about what he walks through in his life, what he lives, or how he is in real life, and how he treats other people. And you're going to base that solely on a topic he talks about, which is truth. That you didn't look into just because you don't like the message he's spilling. But you know, like I've always told you, that's sort of like watching a TV show that you hate. I don't like that show, but I'll be here to watch it all the time. Doesn't that suggest that you have an issue? Because most people who don't like a show on TV don't watch that show because they don't like that show. They turn to a show they like. That's like you hanging out with your best friend. So when's the last time you hung out with your arch enemy? When's the last time you hung out with your enemy? You know, that person you hate their guts and they hate your guts and you call each other names and you're punching each other's lights out? So when's the last time you hung out with them and you had a really good day together? It's the same thing. It is literally the same thing. So if you're going over to Steve Hoka's channel and you hate his guts, what are you doing there? You know what you're really doing there? You're there to make drama. You're there to be part of the problem. That's the only reason you're there. Because you have no reason to be there if you disagree that much. I don't know anybody on TV that turns their TV over to a show they hate. I don't know anybody that hangs around their arch enemy for the day and has a blast. No, I don't. See, so because I'm on the internet doesn't mean I'm hiding behind a keyboard, does it? No. I'm not hiding behind the keyboard. Here I am, right in your face. I'm here. This is Christmas Day. You all know me by name because I'm not fraudulent. I'm not fake. I'm not putting on an act. I'm not putting on a persona. I'm not hiding myself because I'm not scared of you. I live in Minnesota. Oh, so dang, I said what state I'm in, didn't I? Oh, it's terrible. How could I do that? I better hide my identity because I have something to be scared of. No, I don't. I'm not scared. I don't care that you know my name, and I don't care that you know I live in Minnesota. And before that, I lived in Iowa. Yeah. And before that, I lived in Florida. Do you follow what I'm doing here? See, I'm as real as it's going to get. Because I'm not somebody that wants to come up and BS people, lie to people, or hurt people. I actually care and have always cared. It's who I am. I actually don't like seeing the fighting straight across the board in the men's atmosphere here, where you have TFLers fighting against incel guys and incels against them and MGTOW against them, and we're all busy fighting one another and staying divided, but yet we're all living through the same issues. There is no excuse for that behavior outside of your failure to grow up. And that's not to insult anybody, but there is no legit excuse for it. You cannot come up with a legit excuse if you try without pulling BS out your you know what. So, the day is Christmas Day, and I'd like to see for our new year that starts next week is I would like to see the men's atmosphere here online for you incels and you men going their own way and you TFLers in denial and you TFLers, which unfortunately online, the majority of MGTOW is TFLers in denial. I'm not going to say every last one of them because I don't think that would be a true statement. Okay, I don't think that would be a true statement. Because I can think of men that probably had a wife in their life that got raped over by the court system and raked through the coals, that have went their own way. I can think of men that have actually seen the corruption and how we're treating one another that has decided, no, I'm not getting involved in that, but I will go my own way. I can think of people like this that would be legit, see, and then we have the people up here that are actually TFLers that are ashamed of a name to a problem that I didn't create and they didn't create, that they're experiencing thanks to our society and social engineering. They are experiencing this and then they're afraid of ashamed of that name. There's no reason to be ashamed of that name. There really isn't. We're all experiencing the same types of problems in different areas because of what's going on in our society, and this is the reason we need to stop fighting one another. Okay, we really do. We need to start communicating with each other and stop playing the victim role. We got to stop that behavior, we really do. We need spots throughout our communities to where men can go and get together. For men, not for women. Women have tons of spots they can go and get together. And if women try to come in, then you need to have somebody there to prevent any women from coming in. Because there's only a certain type of women that would want to screw up something for men to get together, and that's because they don't want men to get together, which makes them corrupt, which makes them evil. They're clearly in the wrong for doing it. I'm not talking about hating on women. I'm talking about I would love for one day to see men and women come back together again. I would absolutely love that because that's what needs to happen. But it will never happen as long as we can continue to create narcissist people and psychopaths from the time they're children on up. As long as we are socially engineering everything to one side and we are making laws and court systems, family court systems, who favor one gender over the other, it'll never happen. Because we have a world full of narcissistic women with self-entitlement issues. We have a world full of men and women who do not know how to get along, do not know what a relationship is, okay? That don't understand the first thing of how they're really doing each other. because it's become all selfishness, self-centered, narcissistic behavior that's the destruction of. That's really what it is. It's the destruction of. I don't want to see that. I want to see men and women be able to come back together again. I want to see women recognize that they have to first be friends. You got to stop going by materialistic items, by status and fame, by the tool, money, by looks, by the social engineering. You need to get to know somebody for who they are and look for things in common so that you can become best friends. So that you and her could go out and hang out together and do things together and make each other laugh all night long. When you can do that, you will find real love. And when you can keep the bond, the friendship, the trust, and the open communications and respecting each other's feelings and learning how to agree to disagree and that you're not there to change one another. When you can learn these traits, then you can successfully have a relationship and a family. And you can successfully overturn the programming that has destroyed us all. Because it is the social engineering of our society that's destroyed us all. And it's what continues to go on right now that I want to see change. When I tell people to go back to the Leave It to Beaver days, I'm not literally saying go live it, I'm saying go examine it. Examine the behavior of men and women and how they treated one another. I try to give you sources to look at for reality because there's only one way that men and women will ever be able to come back together. And this is why MGTOW was such an important thing if people really did it, if men would really do it. But as much as I hate to say it, the majority of men out here won't do it. They just won't do it. And because of that, it allows the problem to keep going on. It's no different than a family member of my own family who has a girl and a boy, who throws his little boy under the bus to pamper his girl. He perceives what he is doing as normal. But what he is actually doing is he's creating a narcissist entitlement female. This little girl is going to grow up to have entitlement issues and become a narcissist. And she's going to fall right into the rest of the social conditioning and she'll be just as corrupt as all these other women you're seeing. Because of what? Because of what's going on in her little life right now. And the dad is too naive to see that. The dad's too naive to understand that he has to stand up to the wife. He won't stand up to her. No. He will not stand up to her. And I'm not talking about abusing her. I'm talking about standing up for your own self. I'm talking about both of them treating each other properly, which is not going on at all. Because she has self-entitlement issues. Because she's a product of social engineering. She knows damn well that he owes her everything. And that she don't have to lift a finger to do anything. She don't have to hold a job down. She don't have to bring in no money to help the family. She don't even have to take care of her kids except when he's not there, and then she can just do the shittiest job of that as possible. And as soon as he gets home from working a 10, 11-hour day, she can just tell him, I don't feel like fixing dinner for the kids tonight, so you fix it. Don't inconvenience me with it hard. Please do the dishes for me tonight. I've done nothing all day long but lay in my bed all day and watch my TV and play on my smartphone, but I don't have time to help my own family. And he sees nothing wrong with that behavior because he's too afraid of losing her. He don't want to have to start all over trying to find a woman. He don't want to be taken to the cleaner by the system. So he bends over It's taken to the cleaner by her. It makes me sick. It's disgusting, and I see it in my face. In my own family. Okay, no names said, no quotes, but this is what I see. This is what I know is going on. This behavior is not going to change. The best way to make it change is MGTOW. If men would take it seriously, and I mean take it seriously. This is why I came up here for Christmas Day, was to give a little hope for TFLers that are by themselves right now, that you can make yourself happy. Okay, you really can, but you have to want to first. Your happiness will not come from having a mate in your life. Your happiness will not come from that. Your happiness will come from you, within you. You need to find that best friend you had when you were growing up. You need to meet somebody. I don't care if it's the same gender. I'm not telling you to be gay. I'm telling you that you need that best friend to hang out with to take your mind off of these things. That you can go do things with and have fun with. To relieve stress from yourself so that you can make yourself and be happy. First and foremost. And understand companionship of the opposite gender will never ever bring you happiness. That happiness has to come from both man and woman together. And that will never happen with a narcissist, self-entitled woman. Ever. You will live in misery. Or you will live like one of my family members. A slave. Okay? Doing it all for what? What kind of happiness are you getting out of that? I suppose if you live an alternative lifestyle and you're living a BDS lifestyle, bondage, and you're a submissive and you're going to be a slave in the family and that's what makes you happy, then I suppose, okay, I'll leave you alone. Okay? But that's not the majority of the men out here doing this. They're not living an alternative lifestyle and they've chose to be the slave to the female. Okay, no, that's not it at all. They're the slave to the female because they're in fear of losing the female. They're in fear of the female taking them to family court and blah, 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 which could still happen to them anyhow. This is the reality. The reality is mostly right here. So this is why I'm telling you, TFLers and you incels, you know, sex isn't going to make you happy. You might alleviate yourself, but that's it. That's it. That's not going to make your life happy. Companionship with the opposite gender is not going to bring you happiness. You have to bring yourself happiness. Nobody can do that for you. And you have to stay yourself. What I said earlier on in this live stream. You must stay yourself and never change yourself for somebody else. So unless you're doing harm onto other people, then you need to change yourself. If you're up online trolling people or you're going to Steve Focus channel because you hate his guts, you don't belong going to his channel. If you're coming to my channel because you hate my guts, you don't belong here and I'll remove you. Okay, and I won't even say a thing. I'll just remove you. You'll be gone. You can create as many accounts as you want and I'll remove you as many times as you do it. And I can remove you faster than you can make that new account. You won't bother me a bit. What you got to do is understand that when you hate somebody, you don't go to their channel. You're not going to go harass people. You leave them alone. That's called being a grown-up. That's right. And happiness is going to come from within yourself. So for you incel guys and you TFLers and you men going your own way, We need a community. We need a spot in every community where we can hook up. You can meet somebody like-minded you can talk to. You might make a new best friend. Somebody you can go hang out with when you're not at work. Somebody you can do things with and make each other laugh and get along with. Because your happiness will come from within yourself. When you can accomplish that happiness from within yourself, you will relieve the stress off your mind. You will take the stress off your body, off your shoulders, off your health. You will improve yourself. Once you've done this and you've improved yourself that way, don't let the dating scene destroy what you feel. Don't put your mind on, I got to get a female in my life to be happy, because that's a delusion. That's not true. A female is not going to make you happy. You only be happy with that female, and she'll only be happy with you if you can do what's supposed to be done. Become best friends. Have things in common. Be able to go out and do things together and enjoy each other's company. That there is no boss in the house. Nobody wears the pants in the family. That's right. She don't wear the pants and you don't wear the pants, because when you say I wear the pants in my household, you're calling your partner a slave. And if she says I wear the pants, she's calling him a slave. We're not slaves to somebody else's need and want. No, we're not. We're human beings with emotions, wants, and feelings and needs. This is why becoming best friends with a female who likes to use friendship as a rejection line, so she wants to use the foundation that leads to a real relationship and real love as a rejection line. Do you see how messed up this world really is? See, so, and you understand it's both sides of social engineering. So for you TFLers, you got to find your best friends, man. Hang out with your best friends. Go do things with your best friend when you're not on the job. Get a hobby. Put your mind on doing something that makes you happy. Make yourself happy first and foremost. Be yourself first and foremost. Don't listen to what somebody else is telling you have to act like unless you're hurting other people. If you're not doing harm unto other people, don't give a shit what they tell you. You don't gotta act like them. You don't gotta think with the brain in the jar. Don't worry about I gotta fit in. Fit into what? Insanity? You ain't gotta fit in. You gotta be yourself and let that person who likes you or knows you like you for you. And you like them for them. And you have to understand that no man, no woman, no friendship, no relationship always agrees. It's impossible. You have to learn how to agree to disagree. You don't let a disagreement become an issue. You can make amends with a woman that, okay, this is the way it's going to work. We have a lot in common. We go out and do things. We make each other laugh. We fall in love with each other. And we're going to get married. And we're going to have a family. We're going to have a relationship, right? Or you're not going to get married. It's totally up to you. But if you want to keep that strong, the friendship has to stay strong. That friendship only stays strong when you respect one another's feelings. This means what she feels and what he feels has to be respected. She respects his feelings and don't try to change him. He respects her feelings and don't try to change her. When you have a disagreement, you compromise. Learn compromise. Compromise means this time we didn't agree upon something that should be done this certain way. So you're going to give in, man, and we're going to do it the woman's way. But the next time there's a situation comes up with a disagreement on how something should be done, she's going to give in and we're going to do it the man's way, and she's going to do it the man's way. And then the following time, We're going to do it her way. You don't always have disagreements, but this is called working together. This is called compromise. This is called being equal to each other, treating each other with respect. Then you can build a strong bond, a strong relationship, something that'll last. Oh, by the way, the powers to be in our society don't like that. That's why you got certain religions that come up and preach against today, Christmas Day. They preach against it because today's a day that you might have cared for somebody. They don't want you to have care. That's what that really comes down to. But I think I've talked long enough now, so I gave my little Christmas rant for today. And for the men, hey, try and listen to what I've said here today. Really do. For 2019, let's see incel, TFL, men going their own way, okay? And men's right activists, us men, stop fighting one another. Realize we're all living a lot of the same issues. Stop thinking it's a game because there is no game here. Stop attacking each other and start communicating. And let's think of some ways that we can get spots in all of our communities globally, regardless of where you live, to where you could go meet other guys from your state or your area that are going through the same issues you are. Maybe you can meet a new best friend. Somebody you can communicate, talk with, hang out with, do things with. And remember this, happiness starts from yourself first and foremost. You don't change who you are for another human being unless you're hurting other human beings. Because nobody has a right to hurt another human being. Our emotions and feelings are not games to be played with. Okay? Accept somebody for who they are, not who you want them to be. And with that being said, I'm going to get on out of here, and you all have a good Christmas, and Merry Christmas to you all.